Hello, everyone. Welcome to my session titled Multilingualism in Public Space, a case study of Thai airports. My name is Wipapan Ngampramuan, or you can call me Jip for short. I'm a lecturer of English and Applied Linguistics at the Faculty of Liberal Arts, Mahidol University, Thailand. This session is for the value of languages in a multicultural world, an online international conference organized by Macquarie University, Sydney. It is given in December 2021. This presentation is divided into 5 parts, namely research overview, research aims and objectives, data collections and categorization, results and findings, and conclusion. Okay, let's start with the research overview. So in 2009, I was doing my Master of Research in Education at the Open University, UK. I did my dissertation titled Linguistic Landscape, a case study of science in major transport hubs in Thailand. I collected data from Suvarnabhumi Airport, the main airport of the country, Don Mueang Airport, the second major airport of the country, and the Southern Bus Terminal. And the results showed that at Suvarnabhumi Airport, 95.5% of signs contain English and 48.6% were bilingual Thai-English signs. At Don Mueang Airport, 82.3% of signs contained English and around 66% of signs were bilingual Thai and English. At that time, Don Mueang was used only for domestic flights. And there was no monolingual Chinese signs found at both airports. No, not at all. But there were 22 signs containing Chinese at Suvarnabhumi Airport, which accounts for 5.4% and only 3 signs or 2.9% containing Chinese at Don Mueang Airport. However, in recent years, Thailand has been one of the most popular destinations among Chinese tourists, and Don Mueang Airport has been used as the main airport for low-cost airlines offering flights between Thailand and China, according to the airports of Thailand. So before the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, Chinese tourists were the main groups of tourists visiting the country, accounting for nearly 30% of the total number of tourists, according to the Ministry of Tourism and Sports of Thailand. In 2019, there were nearly 40 million international tourists and 11 million were from China. And in 2018, there were around 38 million international tourists and above 10 million were from China. This triggered my research questions about the languages used on signs, as when I did my PhD at University of Nottingham titled English as a Lingua Franca in Thailand, a case study of English used on sign in tourist domains. The results showed that apart from English, Chinese became the second important foreign language frequently found on signs. So I would like to know about multilingualisms on signs and find out to what extent Chinese plays a role on sign at the major airports in Thailand. There are 3 aims and objectives of this research. The first one is to find out about multilingualism on signs at 2 major international airports of Thailand, Suvarnabhumi Airport and Don Mueang Airport, and to see whether the nationalities of international tourists correlate with the numbers of foreign languages used on site at Thai airports or not, and to find out whether English still plays the most dominant role as a foreign language on signs at Thai airports in recent years or not. For theoretical frameworks, I use linguistic landscape, world Englishes, and multilingualism, but I will mainly talk about linguistic landscape because it could be new for some scholars. So Laundrie and Burris are the first two people who defined the term linguistic landscape as the language of public road signs, advertising billboards, street names, place names, commercial shop signs, and public signs on government buildings combined to form the linguistic landscape of a given territory, region, or urban agglomeration. To put it simply, Goethe says, linguistic landscape means the language texts that are present in public space. So for me, I collected data from signposts in tourist attractions, so it's linguistic landscape. According to Krashu's 1989 three concentric circle model, Thailand is in the expanding circle. Krashu divided the world into three circles, namely inner circles, outer circles, and expanding circle. The inner circle refers to the country where English is a mother tongue, and the outer circle refers to the country where English is one of the official languages, and the expanding circle refers to the countries where English is taught and learned as a foreign language. And you can see that the number of English users in the expanding circle is more than the inner circle. So this can create varieties of Englishes around the world. And in my PhD thesis, I look at Thai English as well, but for this presentation, I will look only at multilingualism. Okay, let's talk about the status of English in Thailand again. So according to Krashu, Thailand is in the expanding circle. So English is our foreign language. It means that the Thai government and Thai people are free to use any languages on site. So English doesn't need to be there. And according to Bacchus, English in Thailand has a privileged status. So if you can use English better than other people, it means your family, you're from a good background family because you can access the language. And also, English itself has its economic value because it can reach wider group of people. And in Thailand, English is also used as a language for work and education as well. So English has a high status in the country. That's why it's on science. In terms of research methodology, I use both qualitative and quantitative. For qualitative, I collected the data from the real world, so from Suvarnabhumi Airport and Dornmueang Airport. And also I interview people and also observe the places as well. For quantitative research, I categorize the data into groups and also analyze them for statistical results. Regarding the data collections, I collected the data between March and August last year, and I got 940 signs from Suvarnabhumi Airport, the major airport of Thailand, and Dornmueang Airport. I got 731 signs. In total, there are 1,645 signs for this research project. In terms of data categorization, I categorize signs based on ownership into top-down and bottom-up. Top-down signs refer to signs that belong to the airport or belong to the authorities or the government, while bottom-up sign refers to signs that belong to the airlines, belong to the restaurant, and the private sector or shops. In terms of languages, there are 4 groups, namely monolingual, bilingual, trilingual, and multilingual. So monolingual signs refer to signs that contain just only one language. That can be Thai, English, Chinese, Russian, Japanese, and Arabic. And also for bilingual, Thai English, English Chinese, or Thai Chinese. And for trilingual is Thai English, Chinese. So these are the 3 common languages that were found together. And for multilingual signs, refer to sign that contains more than 3 languages and above. So there can be 4 or 5 languages on sign. But according to my data collections, I found Thai, English, Chinese, and Japanese languages together on sign. Here are some examples of signs. So this is some example of top-down sign. So this Thai, English, Chinese that belongs to Suvarnabhumi Airport, and both are from the airport. Okay, and the bottom-up sign is belong to the airline, and this one belongs to the airline as well. And for monolingual sign, this is picture crowds mean temporarily closed in Thai, and this is monolingual English sign. And for bilingual sign, this is Thai and English. This belongs to the airport, and the yellow one belongs to the airline. It's Thai and English as well. From trilingual sign, this is Thai, English, and Chinese. This belongs to the airport, and this is Thai, English, and Chinese. This also belongs to the airport. And this is the multilingual signs, Thai, English, Japanese, and Chinese. This belongs to the hotel at the airport. So this is a bottom-up sign. There are some signs that contains no text message, but there is a QR code like this one, or there could be only symbols like this one and this one, or only the picture, or just only a number. Okay, let's have a look at the results. At Suvarnabhumi Airport, the number of top-down and bottom-up signs are quite similar. As you can see, there are 483 top-down signs and 431 bottom-up signs. So in total, there are 914 signs. In terms of monolingual signs, we can see that English is the most frequently found sign. And for bilingual sign, Thai English is more popular than the combination of Thai Chinese or English and Chinese. And for trilingual signs, the number of top-down and bottom-up signs are quite similar. But as you can see, 55 top-down and 52 bottom-up, while for trilingual Thai, English, and Japanese is not popular. They are not multilingual signs as well. And there are 3 signs and 2 signs containing QR code and 35 signs containing symbols. So as we can see that the number of monolingual signs, monolingual English signs in English is 226, while there are just only 31 monolingual Thai signs and only 17 monolingual Chinese signs. So for bilingual Thai English is the most popular, and for trilingual Thai English and Chinese are the 3 languages that come together very often. At Don Mueang Airport, there are 731 signs together. So for top down and bottom up, the numbers of the signs are quite equal, 363 and 368. But we can see that for monolingual English signs, there are more signs from the bottom-up group. As you can see, 83 monolingual English and 35 from top-down. And for bilingual, the number of signs are quite equal, 107 from top-down and 132 from bottom-up. And for trilingual, top-down, all the signs that belongs to the airport, there are 121 signs that contain Thai, English, and Chinese, while there are 65 signs contain Thai, English, and Chinese from the bottom-up group. There are not many multilingual signs, and altogether from 731 signs, for monolingual signs, English can be found more often, and for bilingual Thai English is more popular than English and Chinese, and there's no Thai Chinese at all. And also for trilingual side, Thai, English, and Chinese could be found more often together in comparison with other languages. At Don Mueang Airport, there are some signs containing only pictures, numbers, and maps, and also symbol and QR code. When we combine the numbers of signs from both airports together, we can see that out of 1,645, 344 signs are monolingual English signs, while there are just only 99 signs with only Thai language. For bilingual, there are 565 signs containing only Thai and English, and there are 353 signs containing Thai, English, and Chinese. And there are 22 multilingual signs. There are quite a number of signs containing symbol as well. Okay, so among monolingual signs, English was used more often than Thai, Chinese, and other languages at Suvarnabhumi and Don Mueang Airport, so at both airports. And from 1,645 signs, there were 68.9% of signs containing 2 languages and above. There were more bilingual Thai-English signs than Thai-Chinese signs. For trilingual signs, Thai, English, and Chinese were the 3 common languages found together. At Suvarnabhumi Airport, 77.1% contained English and 35.6% were bilingual Thai-English signs. At Don Mueang Airport, 82.3% contained English and around 66% of signs were bilingual Thai-English. When looking at the previous research at Suvarnabhumi Airport, 77.1% contained English and 35.6% were bilingual Thai and English, while in the past, in 2009, 35.5% contained English. So the number dropped to 77.1% and 48.6% were bilingual Thai English. But in the past, there were just only 35.6%. It means the number of bilingual Thai and English signs increased. At Don Mueang Airport, 82.2% contained English and 32.6% were bilingual Thai and English, while in 2009, 82.3% contained English. The number was still quite similar, but in the past, the number of bilingual Thai and English signs were more than in 2020, 66 and 32.6. In 2009, there was no monolingual Chinese sign at all, but in 2020, there were 17 monolingual Chinese signs at Suvarnabhumi Airport and 6 monolingual Chinese signs at Don Mueang Airport. In 2009, there were 22 signs containing Chinese at Suvarnabhumi Airport and 3 signs containing Chinese at Don Mueang Airport. But in 2020, there were 212 signs containing Chinese at Suvarnabhumi Airport. So it increased from 5.4 to 23.2, and at Don Mueang Airport, 219 signs or nearly 30% containing Chinese, while in the past, only 2.9%. There were only 1.3% or 22 signs that were multilingual. And there were 6% of signs containing no text messages, but a QR code, a symbol, a picture, a number, or a map. So regarding the findings, at both Suvarnabhumi Airport, the main international airport of Thailand, and Dornmueang Airport, the second major airport of Thailand, for monolingual signs, more English signs can be found than Thai signs, although Thai is the only official language of the country. There were more trilingual Thai, English, and Chinese signs under the category of top-down, or the signs that belongs to the airport, than the bottom-up, or the sign that belongs to the airlines and commercial shops. This could imply that the Thai government and authorities have realized the importance of the Chinese language as a tool to reach more international visitors to Thailand than the private sector. Chinese has become the third important language on signs at the airports in Thailand in recent years. However, according to the statistical results, its role can still not compete with English. Hence, the nationalities of tourists visiting Thailand did not directly correlate with the languages displayed on signs, but had an effect on the number of languages used on signs. Apart from English and Chinese, other foreign languages found on site at the airports were Japanese, Vietnamese, Arabic, Russian, Korean, German, and French. English is still regarded as the most dominant foreign language on site at the major airports in Thailand, while the role of Chinese on site has gradually increased. Despite being a monolingual society, signs at the airport are mainly bilingual or trilingual because foreign languages, especially English, are used as a medium of communication among Thai and non-Thai people in Thailand. And finally, I would like to conclude that despite being a monolingual society, Thailand has greatly used more than one language on signs at the airport in order to communicate with wider groups of international visitors. Although the main groups of overseas tourists visiting Thailand was from China, English was more visible than Chinese in multilingual space in Thailand because of the country's language policy, science makers' preferences, its economy value, and a stronger connection to the global village. Here are the references. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, I'll be happy to hear that. Thank you.